Okay, so hopefully we're going to get some Blood Bowl 2 going here. My name is DisturbingPuppet, and this is my first stream. I'm kind of screwing around with it a little bit, hoping things work, and recording it as well, so maybe I'll throw it up on YouTube at some point down the road. Like I said, this is my first stream, so I'm just kind of messing around. Hopefully everything works. I am just using the mic that's in my laptop, so hopefully it's not too terrible. If anything comes up and it's totally off with the sound mix or anything like that, let me know. I can try to adjust that. I am hoping this works okay, and we're just going to kind of get in and keep going with what I've been playing. Talk a little bit about Blood Bowl 2 as I go through as well. So it looks like it's actually working. I hope, anyway. So I'm just going to go in. I am playing against the AI, which is pretty much all I usually do. And I have an undead team I've played through one season, and I've also got my Chaos Dwarf team I've been playing here recently. I am not starting a competition right now, but just kind of continuing what I already had going. So I'll go through my team a little bit. I made this one a while ago. The settings for Blood Bowl 2 are a little different from Blood Bowl 1 as far as setting up competitions and things. So I'll go through a little bit with my roster. The first one was really easy to set up a round robin where you could play against every team twice and then kind of go to playoff games. This one is not really that well set up, so you kind of do a round robin of one and then a separate round robin of one, and then you can kind of do playoffs. But it's based on the second competition. So I'm kind of into that phase at this point. So my guys do have some upgrades and things as well already. I am an old Blood Bowl board game player from 2nd edition, so my experience goes way back there, playing Undead, mostly there. I played the first Blood Bowl game a lot on my Xbox 360, and then this one I've kind of been messing with a bit. It's turn-based, which I thought would be easier for doing a stream, and I'm playing it anyway, so I thought, why not stream it? It is a timed turn-based game, so that does kind of add some potential problems or conflicts. So I'll just kind of go through my team here really quick. So I've got a couple of Bowl Centaurs who have gotten a 1 upgrade so far, which I've given them the same skill, which is block, in addition to what they started with. I've got 4 Hobgoblins here. Most of them I've added the sure hands. So a couple that I've leveled up. If you roll doubles when you level up, you can pick something outside of your normal skill choices. So I gave them dodge. They start with no skills at all, and they're kind of your only really skilled people at picking stuff up, picking the ball up, moving it around, that kind of thing. Then I have a whole bunch of Chaos Dwarf blockers, and all of them have been leveled up, and all of them I've added guard to. So they start with the same stats and skills as the regular dwarf players, just a little different looking. So before I jump in the game, I want to check Twitch and make sure everything seems to be working okay. So that part looks good. And that looks okay. Okay, hopefully everything's working fine. I don't see anything in the chat here, but I may not get a chance to check it too often, so I am hoping it's working all right. So I'm just going to go into the game and I'll go from there. So one thing you definitely want to do before you start a match is check out your opponent's team. So especially after it's been going for a while and they've started picking skills and you have no idea what you're running up against, things you really want to watch out for, they actually highlight, and green here are people who've upgraded their physical stats. So increased agility is very dangerous with a runner especially, blitzer, and then increased strength on a lineman here is also something to watch out for. So unusual skills, let's take a look here and see. Jump up is, I'm not sure if it starts with that or not. I do prefer the first games just listing the names of the skills instead of having little icons. I'm always forgetting what the icons are. this game does add some really cool stuff, but I really wish it just listed the names instead. It's probably a mod for that, but I haven't really looked into it. I did play a lot of the first Blood Bowl game on my 360, but not a whole lot of this one. So nothing too crazy looking. I'll just start the match.
Everybody ready? The match is about to start.
So my opponent has some extra money. I'm not going to spend any extra money for stuff. It's kind of a way to even out the game if you're a much better team than the other one. So he's got some money for some special things. Looks like he's got a star player here. And we'll deal with that when we get to it.
Jim, I'm so excited.
But let's keep it together, Bob. At least until the first death. Let's play Blood Bowl! Welcome back, sports fans. Jim Johnson and Bob Bifford here.
Weather's okay. Some say it's perfect for playing.
I do think the new Dark Elf models are a little silly looking. The Witch Elves look good, but the other players look a little odd. On the Chaos Dwarves, I do kind of like the old models, kind of very blocky looking. There's a star player I've got to deal with. Hobgoblins look good, the Bull Centaurs look good. The beards on these guys look really nice. I really do like a lot of the new graphic improvements for the second game. Showing some of the action, that kind of thing is pretty cool. I'll usually start defense, which means I'm guaranteed to get the ball in the second half. So, I don't know why it sets me up some of these weird options. Since I'm dealing with dodgy players, I'm going to move my guys out, because these linemen actually do have tackle, which negates dodge, which is nice. So you do have a limited amount of time to kind of make choices here. The kicking team sets up first, so it does give you an advantage if you're the receiving team to kind of set up in opposition to what your opponent has done. I often do kind of a, or almost regardless of team, sort of a very similar kind of bow and arrow kind of formation here. I'm kind of checking which specific guys I have on the field, because you do want to try to level up guys as evenly as possible if you can, because people will die. I haven't had anybody die yet, but I've had to use my apothecary a few times to avoid a death. So let's take a look at the star player. What do we got here? Yeah, the 5 agility, the dodge, hypnotic gaze, that's really dangerous. Pass block and everything, he's pretty dangerous, but he only has a 3 strength, so hopefully I can beat the crap out of him. Drop him, injure him, something like that, get him out of most of the game if possible. I'm fairly happy with my setup here. I usually don't put guys on the edge here on the front unless I'm receiving and I know I'm not adjacent to somebody, although sometimes with blitzers, especially guys like this who have a higher strength, you can blitz block directly if they set him up right on the edge. So we'll see what he does. Okay, kicking, it does give you kind of a center position here. I almost always just kick for that just to make things easy. Unless you have a kick skill, you're pretty much kind of random anyway. Okay, somebody gets taken out. Nice.
He seems a little stunned.
So let's see what he'll do. Assassin will try to stab me. Blitzers out on the side. Which elves? I want to run it in the back here. I have noticed that in this game the die rolls are a little off sometimes, especially with going for it. I don't know if anyone else noticed, but in the board game it's on a 1 result on a 6-sided die that you would fail going for it. So it's supposed to be a 1 in 6 chance that you're going to fall down when you're trying to go for it. I've seen it much more along the lines of about 50% of the time in this game. And I don't know if I'm the only one who's seen that or not. So even with the tackle not being able to use dodge, he's still just kind of running around my guys and getting away from them. So we'll see what we can do. Typically you want to do the safe things first in Blood Bowl. It's always kind of the way to go. It can be very dangerous to start messing around doing random crazy things. I'm assuming he's probably going to try to go right here. Unfortunately, I may not be able to do much there. Just throw some additional guys up here. Since I've got guard, it will give me the chance to throw some blocks. You want to typically do the important things first, safe things first, then important things that require die rolls. I'm a little concerned about what he's going to do here. With bruiser teams like the Chaos Dwarves or Dwarves, I tend to just start throwing a lot of blocks. It does give you a lot of openings that you can exploit. That's a 5 agility guy outside him. I'm actually going to stay. Keep the line. Oh, wow, okay. Nice. I killed him. I got start play points. So that's pretty awesome. It's luck hitting one way or the other. I kind of refer to it as Nuffle in this instead of RNG, but it's pretty similar kind of idea. This is kind of dangerous having these guys on the edge. Hopefully I can make it so he's not likely to go for those guys. Unfortunately my dwarves move very slowly, so I can't really get anybody over here to do anything to really help that much. With the dwarves and other slow teams, you really have to anticipate well in advance what might happen and kind of go from there. I do have an opening. I could try to get him down towards the ball carrier, but I'm a little concerned that with their agility, will just go right around him. Might as well. Since we do have an opening here, I can just get through without a problem. I'm not going to go for it here at this point. I'm just kind of wait and see what happens. At least I'm in a threatening position and I can blitz from there and kind of deal with the situation. I'm not going to go adjacent to anyone here. Just going to kind of create a zone where they have to at least make some die rolls to get through. Same kind of thing here. There's, you have to make die rolls to get through everywhere. And they can't use dodge next to anybody of my guys who have tackle, which is all the Chaos Dwarf linemen. So this guy down here, I've got deep, is sort of my oh crap, last chance sort of thing. Just something you definitely want to do with a slower team like Undead, Chaos Dwarves, Dwarves kind of have the same problem. You don't have a lot of ability to reach opponents if they get past your main line. The chances of him doing anything here are pretty low, but it certainly is possible he could run over, throw the ball, hand off to somebody who could then jump over the line, run, that kind of thing. For right now, I'm just going to shift a little bit over I'm not super concerned, but we'll kind of see what
I
happens.
don't know, Bob, and I
So
know
that's it for my turn.
you just want
So
me
we'll
to
see what he
set
tries to
so you
do.
can shout, "New
Occasionally he'll
balls,
pull off some
please."
pretty crazy
I'm
stuff.
not done.
I've played undead teams and have a lot of zombies who have a 2 agility, which means on picking up the ball you only have 5 or 6 on a 6-sided die. And when I've played against undead teams, the zombies seem to always pick up the balls without a problem. When I play an undead team, I can't get even my wights or ghouls who have a 3 agility and have an increased chance of picking up the ball to get the ball. So it looks like he's just going to try to build a cage around the ball carrier, which is fine for me because I'm pretty bruiser team and I can kind of beat him up. The danger is if he can get out of any kind of area that I block him into and then get the ball to one of these guys who's further down. So sometimes you do just want to go after the people that move onto your side of the field. I've also noticed that the AI is very aggressive sometimes, and will even throw blocks when there's 2 dice and you get to pick which one is the result, which is something you would almost never do in the actual game, and even in the first game it would seem kind of crazy to do. So here I'm just going to try to hang up some people. Try to get some people into this area where he's got the ball. Hopefully get some blocks. I have extended the time out to 4 minutes for my games just because it makes it a lot easier for me to kind of try to plan what I'm going to do. In the first game, I actually extended out to 8 minutes, which was always plenty of time to do stuff. But you want to be able to sort of plan what you're going to do before you actually start doing stuff, especially with more agile teams that rely on trying to dodge out, jump over opponents, that kind of thing. With a bruiser team, you can kind of get away with just sort of instinctively going and beating people up, but it can be a problem. Yeah, so I'm actually going to try to hammer this guy here. See if we can knock him down at least.
That's it. Get in their face.
Nice. And he's stunned, which means he won't get up next turn. Kind of double up on this guy here, make it a little harder for him to dodge out or to receive the ball, catch, that kind of stuff. This guy will get up next turn, but it's tempting to move him to kind of get in a position here. Being an assassin, let's go ahead and move over. Just throw a block here.
2 big goons that get together and fall on it. It can really hurt.
Fall to make it a little harder to deal with. I'll probably try to knock out my bull centaur here before moving the ball carrier this way. I am going to go ahead and throw a block here since I have the advantage. He does have block and I don't, which is possibly dangerous, but he's got dodged here. I'm going to throw him next to my bull centaur. Follow him up. So now I've got 3 guys on him. He could still get out of there pretty easily, but it does make it harder for him to catch the ball because I've got 3 guys around him. So really that just leaves my last hobgoblin. Typically don't want to leave them adjacent to people unless I've got a couple on them, so it's not a terrible idea to double up on the witch elf here. but I'm probably going to move him out to sort of more threatening position to possibly get the ball if I can knock it loose. I'm going to just kind of hang out in the area and see what happens. And I can use him for an assist next time if I need to. So we'll go from there. I guess I am kind of expecting or thinking that people watching this might know something more about Blood Bowl. I'm kind of skipping over quite a bit about what the game's about, what it's like. Sort of American football / rugby, fantasy teams, turn-based, beating the crap out of each other. Games Workshop made a board game of this. Original version, came out back in the 80s. Second edition was mid-90s, something like that. And I played an undead team, played in a league with a bunch of friends, playing against different people. So I'm really familiar with the game. Basically, they haven't changed a lot since the old board game days for this, just a few little tweaks here and there. And the timing has kind of changed things a little bit as far as trying to play with a time limit on your turns. He's trying to open a hole in the middle here. He's probably just going to end up piling up his guys over here somewhere. The skills are definitely something you want to study, especially when you level up guys, looking at what skills to pick. And I think that was one of the weaknesses of the AI in the original one. So that was him failing a dodge away from one of my guys. And when you do something wrong, it's a turnover, and your opponent gets to immediately take over, which is always nice. So now you can see he didn't really finish building a cage around his guys here, which is definitely a problem for him. So I have some options. So like I said, you typically want to do safe things first. So if you have guys you need to stand up, if you've got guys who can just move in a position somewhere, he does have somebody. And then you want to go for the important things after that. So let's see. I'll just kind of match up here since I've got a guard. It makes it a lot easier for me to beat people up. So I have a couple options here. I can go for just blocking and assisting, or I could possibly leave these guys to hang out to maybe foul him, which is definitely tempting. If someone's on the ground, you can make kind of a free attack on them, which is always nice. But you want to do the important things first after sort of safe things. So I'm going to move into the area here. If I knew I was going to get the ball loose, then I might be a little different there about what I would do, but in this case I don't think I'm going to get it out, or at least not in a position I can get to it. And here we're just going to go ahead and throw a block on the ball carrier since I've got guard with the assist. And then he's using his skill, maybe, this happened last time I played against the Dark Elves, where it seemed like everything kind of stopped when they were trying to use his dump off skill, which means when he's going to get blocked, he's supposed to be able to do something. He's wasting my time here doing this.
All this focus on the ball is against the spirit of the game. Give me more random violence. Take down the ball carrier.
And there goes the ball. And I injured the guy.
Casualty so early in the match?
Nice.
I might actually start paying attention.
So the ball ends up in a not great position for me, but it is better than him having possession of it. So now I'm thinking I may want to assist and try to get up here instead of doing a foul. My hobgoblins mostly are sort of assists or fouling or handling the ball. That's pretty much what they're there for. Just a push is not super helpful.
This player, the attacker, smells weakness.
What do we got here? Take a block on the assassin. So whether to follow up or not kind of depends on the situation, where you want your guys in your tackle zones. Because dwarves are slow, having somebody in a central position might be better than in this middle here. So he's got increased strength, so it's a 1 die block instead of 2, even though I've got a 4 strength. I might go for that anyway, because I've got block and he doesn't, which increases the chances of me doing okay with that kind of trade-off. So jump up. So I do want to leave somebody on him, and the Bull Centaur is not a bad idea for that. I don't think I have enough people here really on the ball and on this team of dwarves. Elves that he's got here in front of the ball. Most likely he's just going to knock my guys out of the way, grab it, and run on down.
And I think you'll like this. That astrogranite is made from a compound of sand, gravel, bone dust,
So
and
I'm
the
going to
skulls of
leave
5 players' agents.
here so I can block in this direction, possibly knock him off the field eventually, if that can work. That's a good tactic. Even if you don't hurt the guy, you can still throw him off the field, and they're off until the next time play stops. So I'm going to move him up to sort of get another tackle zone in here, cause a problem. And then I'm going to go ahead and throw this block, just in case. See what happens. Just a push. And I'll just gotta stay on him.
He won't leave him alone anytime soon.
So that's about all I can do. I'm expecting my guys are going to get thrown off the ball here in the general area. But you never know. It's quite often I can get the ball away from the opponents and then score when they've received it. Yeah, that's a problem with high agility. Even with the minuses I have on the dodge attempt and the pickup chance. Oh, there's the other side of it. Does he not have any rerolls? Should check. He's got a couple. So his turnovers here are kind of killing him. And I'm in a pretty good position. He didn't even get his star player up off the ground. So again, I'm going to do kind of the safe things first, even if it's not a lot. And I already have somebody adjacent to the ball carrier. A pretty good position here, actually.
Is the assist going to be enough to come out on top?
I'm moving up here with guard means I already have an assist, so I already can roll a couple dice on him. Throw some blocks because that's what I like doing. Especially with bruiser teams, it's why not? It does open a lot of chances for you to have more openings, get people out of the way. With an agile team, you really have to be a lot more careful about what you're doing and how you're doing it, and moving and blocking especially. But with teams like Dwarves, Chaos Dwarves, Undead, really heavy hitters, it's almost easier just to knock people around and get them out of the way. So I get the ball free here again. So my plan will be to use my Bull Centaur to blitz to knock this person out of the way so he can go and grab it. The bigger guys, you want to check and make sure no one's around them. It's hard to see sometimes. Something to keep in mind is the angle that you hit someone from dictates the angle you can move them to. So if I came here and hit this person, I'd only be moving them here. If I move here and throw the block from there, then I can move the person out there, even if I just get a push.
Because two big guys is always better than one.
She didn't have block, so that was good. I'm going to move on to the ball as well, so just in case we don't pick it up, we've got more people in the same area. So these guys are running down. I think they've got to jump up. Throw another block here.
He's on him now, like a halfling on a hot dip.
So if you get the ball, then the problem is, do you try to run away from your opponents, or do you try to stay with your other teammates for as much protection as possible? And it sort of depends.
Not enough tackle zones on that ball, and now the opposing team has paid the price.
Most of these guys have such a high movement that they'll be able to get up and then still move pretty far. I mean, I could just hang out here, I could move here and have some decent protection, or here and have really good protection. Or I can just try to get the ball down closer to the end zone. If I run off this way, probably only the Witch Elf could come after me, but the Witch Elf almost definitely will come after me. Moving this direction, it's closer to my own guys. If they pull back, I can then hit them. So I am going to just rush on out. Try to get out there closer to the end zone. I don't have a huge rush to score, since I seem to have a good chance of scoring, but most likely he's going to get knocked down by the opponents here. We'll see what happens.
I never could get the hang of this maneuver. Whenever I jumped up, parts of the stadium would collapse, killing many fans.
And sometimes AI isn't that aggressive, so they may not actually go for it. He didn't blitz there, so the other Witch Elf will probably blitz. Yep. And we'll fall down, even with a dodge. That's when turnover can really mess things up for you. And a lot of turnovers. Kind of doing some not risky or super dangerous things, but a little risky. So again, my natural instinct is just block. The important thing is getting this Witch Elf off of him, if possible. And I can certainly try to do that. So I can move to here and throw a block, and have those kind of positions I can move him to here, I can move out. So we'll just go ahead and go for it. In this game, you can pretty much go step by step if you want. There are dice rolls involved in a lot of things, so you don't want to tell it to do a whole bunch of stuff that involves a whole bunch of die rolls. You want to just kind of do one thing at a time. And knocked out. So that pretty much guarantees I can score right now if I want to. So, do you go for the points? Do you throw blocks and do damage? With a bruiser team, you're usually safe to do some damage first. You have to do everything with the player before you can move on to the next, so you can't really mess around with a lot of other crazy things. And both that block. Push him over towards the edge. Move into a position where I can give a support here, so I can get an extra die roll. Because guard again, normally you wouldn't be able to do that. Getting some good blocks. Nothing super spectacular, but good nonetheless. How's that for strength go again? So I'm just going to hit the elbows.
Assist.
Do whatever damage I can. If I can get an injury or something like that, it's very helpful for the long run of the game.
That player's about to get punched above and below the
So
belt at
taking the
same
chance,
time.
throwing some blocks is often worth it, especially with bruiser teams, like I said. So I can move over here so I can roll a couple dice against this guy with the increased strength. It'd be nice to injure him as well. It's not super likely, but we'll run a deck chance.
Like halflings round a sandwich.
Look at Twinkle Toes there.
I haven't had anybody hypnotic gazed before. I can throw a block. That's kind of surprising. I wouldn't think I could. Maybe it just gets rid of your tackle zone. I should read that one closely.
That's it. Force them back and then pow.
But I'm just going to run that ball. I could just kind of hang out. I've done that before. Move down in a position, hang out, let you beat up on the other team for a while. It's actually not a bad idea considering with this guy right on the edge. It's not something you normally do against human opponents in the board game, but when you're playing against an AI, it's sort of like, why not? I've had times when there's only one or two of the opponent team left on the field because I've been beating them up so badly, and I was kind of hang out near the end zone. And actually, yeah, based on the situation I've got here, I've been able to throw him out, having this guy surrounded, she's stunned. I might as well, so I'm just going to kind of hang out down here right on the edge and at least do another turn of throwing some blocks and stuff and see what we can do. Turn control is something you do want to think about long term for the games. You want to have enough turns to do what you need to do, but don't give your opponent too many turns to do what they need to do. Some of these agile teams can score in 2 turns fairly easily. Oh, that's crazy. Oh, and he failed. And he's doing a reroll, which is successful. He might end up scoring for me. Well, so I didn't think that that was very likely to happen. At least my hobgoblin didn't get injured. So now I'm in a position where I can still throw some blocks, but I want to be more careful about what I do and how I do it. I do want to hurt as many people as possible, but I do want to be in a position to score. I've got 3 turns left, so that seems pretty doable. So 4 strength guy. So just to be relatively safe, I'll move somebody else down here just in the general area, so I have somebody else on their feet at least who's a potential ball carrier, a person who can pick up the ball. Yeah, I'll do the safe stuff, or not safe, but important things first. Follow my own advice here.
A loose ball is a dangerous ball.
So he does have block, I get block. Oh, I'm knocking down. Nice. Throw him in the corner. And then I am going to go ahead and move adjacent to the ball, just in case. If I fail to pick it up, it will then scatter. It could possibly go to him. Most likely it'll end up off, and then if it's off the field, it gets thrown in, sort of at a random position. So I do want to throw blocks, even though I'm in this kind of position, because all I have to do is get up, move over. If I pick it up, I score.
Fans are ravenous. Just one more stunt.
Other one stunned. Dwarves and Castors are pretty good at beating people up, which is nice. But they're very slow. Very slow. So we definitely want to hurt the assassin if we can. No, oh. I can't get a double die attack on this guy, but I can on this guy. He also has 5 agility, so he would be a good one to hurt as well. So at least have a chance. And again, I'll throw a block. Why not? A little closer to the edge. Stunned. Be nice to get some mergers, but it's not too likely. So that pretty much just leaves getting the ball, so I'm just going to do that. So you can really do just one thing at a time if you want, to move one square at a time. If you're dodging, you have to make rolls, it's not a bad idea to do that. So here, the second game does do a pretty good job showing you percentages and things. And we go touchdown.
Amazement! That's going to perk the crowd just as the half-time whistle. Well, with that touchdown under their belt, we can finally get this match started.
I really wish they had the different cheerleaders other than the humans, instead of just the humans. It does a good job recapping, showing you how many of your opponents will be out. So he's down 2 players, I'm down nobody, so I didn't show anything. And once again, I'm in defense, because even though I didn't receive the ball last time, I scored last. So before I do anything else, I'm actually going to check and make sure everything's working again. People are sick of that, maybe. So, looks like things are working. There might be some lag, though, it looks like. It's a little bit behind what I was just showing. Yeah, there's a little bit of lag, so hopefully it's not driving people nuts or anything. And we'll go back. So again, it does save the positions that you had last time as long as nobody got hurt or anything. You won't have to change anything out. The spare guys are here off to the side. If they were knocked out, they'd be here. Injuries would be here or dead. So I think the positioning worked fairly well last time, so we'll just kind of keep it where we had it. And again, just kicking for the center position. Worst thing, if it goes off the board, then you miss out on them having to make a roll to pick it up or anything. If it goes out of the board, then the opponent gets to pick who gets the ball. Okay, that's not good either. He managed to catch it when it landed. So he does have a chance with this turn and next turn. It's possible he could score if he got really lucky. It's not super likely, but it is possible. Of course, so far I've played like this is the 9th game, I think, with this team, and I've only allowed 1 touchdown against me ever in my very first game. I did lose, but because I couldn't get any points. Sometimes things just don't work out the way they go that you want. It's pretty rare that I lose a game. Occasionally with certain teams I'll do more draws than other ones. Undead, Dwarves, Castors are really slow, so it's sort of easy to end up drawing. You might only be able to score once or maybe twice in a game. Very agile teams or very fast teams can sometimes score in 1 or 2 turns, so they can score very quickly. The problem then is them getting the ball from the opponent.
There's quite a few of the opposition surrounding that player.
So you can see he's trying to get his guys away from mine so he has more freedom of movement, or can gang up in different positions on people. Yeah, I don't think there's any way it's even possible for him to score in the 1 turn he's got left. So really I'm more looking at who can I hurt. So here I do have the advantage because he's got 4 strength with an assist. And I've got block and he doesn't, so why not throw the attack here? And stunned. Stun just means they don't get up for 1 turn. It's nice. It's much more clear in this game than it was in the first one. It wasn't quite as obvious in the first one who was stunned and who wasn't. Now, unfortunately, you only get 1 blitz attack on your turn, which means moving and blocking somebody. So he's moved a lot of his guys away, so I don't have a lot of free blocks that I can just throw. I really only have 1 blitz that I can do. Mainly, it's sort of making sure he can't score. I don't think it's possible that he can anyway. I'm going to move him up just to kind of cause some problems, make things more difficult. Yeah, I don't think it's possible for him to actually score. So because I grow my blockers here, the dwarf blockers and guard, it's really nice if I can reach people to just sort of move up to beat up on people. Makes it a lot easier. You don't have to worry about positioning as much once you've got guard. You actually just have inputs. You know.
This player likes to be well assisted in a fight.
Block, he doesn't. So
That's a strike made with technical sides.
knocked out.
Great, Joe. I smell obliteration. This is gonna get bloody.
Knockout. We'll just move up to block. Movement. Almost definitely be able to get around here. I'm going to leave him here because it leaves tackle zones on these positions that he'd have to make rolls through at least. He probably can get through them, but he at least has to make a bunch of die rolls to do it. Hang up the reach off here a little bit. Hang up the other guy here a little bit. And move him to the general area as well. So he's just got the 1 turn, he can't actually score. But I want to be in a position to actually be able to throw some blocks and stuff. At least the AI tries to score, even if it can't. A human opponent probably wouldn't do quite as much to try to get people downfield like this. At this point, they might be focusing more on just keeping people safe, and maybe throwing a few blocks here and there, fouling somebody. But overall, the AI is actually pretty decent in this. So I've got 1 apothecary use, and that's it for the whole game. No long-term effect. That's fine. I save those pretty much for anything that affects your stats or killing people. Even with the apothecary, it's just a reroll. So sometimes I've had, you're dead, use your apothecary, you're dead. So this is what I was talking about, very aggressive moves. I get to choose which die because I have the greater strength. So he'll still throw the block, which is crazy. People almost never do this, but he often gets very lucky. I have to pick one, and they're both bad for me. I never get that lucky. Most people don't seem to get that lucky. Here's another thing he's doing. if one of those came up as attacker down, you pick attacker down. And so it's a really dangerous thing to do to block when you're at a negative strength like that. So he's using a weird wall here. And he went for it and fell, which, like I said earlier, seems to happen about 50% of the time people go for it. Even though it's only a result of a 1 on a d6. It shouldn't happen that often, but it seems to happen an awful lot. So this is the last turn of this half. So we'll just see what we can do. I would like to hurt the star player. That would be really nice. I would like to hurt the assassin. That would be really nice. So really, I'm just kind of here for blocking. Beating people up right now is kind of my only real motivation.
They're gathering around that lone player, like halflings round a sandwich.
I might even foul somebody here if things go okay. Oh, wow, okay. The assassin's dead. That's 2 kills this game. That's pretty awesome. He must not have an apothecary. When you set up your team, you get to pick and buy how many rerolls you have, your apothecary, any other things that you have for advantages. You're starting fan factor, which affects how much money you make, things like that. So you buy your team with a certain amount of money, and then you also have that money for other things like the apothecary rerolls. And I was very careful about starting with an apothecary because my guys are expensive. Which has definitely been helpful. Weaker teams definitely need an apothecary, goblins, halflings, that kind of thing. If you don't have one, you're going to lose a lot of guys. So, and positioning here isn't great. It just has a 3 strength, so that's certainly doable. And if I move up here to support him, throw a block there. And leave him actually move up in a somewhat dangerous position. I wouldn't want to leave him there. But I'm going to blitz up with this guy and smack him. Hopefully hurt him, but probably not. Chances aren't super great. Well, he only has 7 armor, so it's not totally unrealistic that it would happen.
They've left the ball carrier exposed. There could be a counter strike.
So that was, the ball went to him. I could use a reel to try to catch it. It's not likely. I don't really care. It's not counting as a turnover for me because I didn't start with the ball. It just kind of ended up in my same square that I was. Block is a great skill. Helps you from getting knocked over, but also makes it a lot easier for you to be aggressive. Throwing blocks. The dwarves start with such good skills. He has blocks, so it wasn't worth it for me to do that. He would have just stayed, and this way at least knock him closer to the edge. It doesn't actually matter for this. I could throw a block with him. It wouldn't throw him off because the positioning would push him this way. Only if you're directly opposite would you push somebody off. So that's a possibility. I don't really have much of anything else I can do. So why not? There's a block and I don't. That's a little dangerous. I'm just going to push. That'll be the end of the half. And everybody runs off the field. So he's down. 3 guys, 2 dead, which is pretty crazy. And I'm down the 1 injured guy, which affects me a little bit, but not too bad. It just means I'll have to use all my hobgoblins. His default settings are so weird. So in this case, he's set up first, so I get to
Let's
set
get
up
the ball to the
after
Wolves.
looking at what he's
But
got
they have to
going
beat their
on
heads,
here.
because it'll be on the way back to them soon enough.
So in this case, I kind of want my best guys who handle the ball either here in a position where they can get the ball and run down, or further down where they can pick it up where it's going to get kicked somewhere on the field. Having somebody off on the sides you can beat your opponents up with is always nice too. So I'm putting my people that have dodge and sure hands up front, which will make them better ball carriers. Back here we've got sure hands and sure hands. I'm going to put them in positions where they can go for the ball no matter where it goes. So potentially they could get the ball, move it up, hand it off to somebody, they can move forward, that kind of thing. So I'm just checking the strength of these frontline guys to see if the strength 4 guy was there. Doesn't look like it.
The thing about Blood Bowl is how it brings everyone together in a common joy of death. You have orcs.
It's odd that he has a
dwarfs,
runner on the
men,
front line here.
even
That's
beastmen
very strange.
sharing the delightful violence in the
I don't know
same
why he would do
stadium,
that.
and all desperate to see some shredding death.
Because for me, he's a target. Look, the armor here is 8, armor here is 8, armor here is 7. We're more likely to injure this guy, so why not beat on that guy? He's holding guys further back to deal with me moving down the field. But we'll go with this. So now he's kicking at me. And all of my guys get to move into an adjacent square for free. Okay. So I can see where the ball's coming. So you can move closer to where the ball's at. You can move this way. Do I want to move much else? Yeah, why not move these guys over the line? Thinking I might run down this side. Whereas this side I can move and have some additional blocks.
Well, that was a weapon of mass reconstruction.
It's pretty good to me. And the ball scatters a little bit. So, what I'm just going to do to start with, again, is beating on people. The ball's far enough down here, it's not too likely he can get to it. I've already got it doubled up here, so potentially I can, I sometimes say, kind of roll the line, where with assists I can do blocks and then move further down and block with more assists. Because a guard, it's not quite that big of a deal.
Unity is strength.
We don't really need assists to nail these guys. So you can sort of gain ground in a way, one step at a time by throwing blocks.
That thing is about to get punched above and below the belt at the same time.
And here, I'll just move this guy up. You can have assists.
Is the assist going to be enough to come out on top?
I'm going to push. It's too bad.
This player, the attacker, smells weakness.
So because he's close to the edge, I'm actually going to do blitz and attack him instead of the other side, possibly making an opening on that side, just because I really want to hurt this guy. I don't want him to use his skills to cause me problems. I'm knocking him down, I'm pushing him on the edge. If he gets up, I might be able to knock him off the field. I am just going to hang out there instead of moving and hanging up somebody else. So I'll try to pick up the ball.
Ah, good. He's got the ball.
Okay.
It's always
That's something.
embarrassing when they fumble that bit.
And move him up. Put his buddy next to him. So if they can't get through the line, it's a little harder to do anything about it. Then it's really a matter, once again, of what are you going to do? Are you going to move slowly up the field with support? Are you going to try to run for it? If you're going to run for it, I can move this guy in a position where he's within his movement of the end zone. So if it gets to him, he can get in. It's not a bad idea. It can also be distracting and pull people away. So from here, he's within his movement of getting into the end zone. Why not do it? It makes a slight distraction. It does mean he's a little bit exposed. I can move the Bull Centaur up to support, but I can also keep him here to sort of assist their movement, because he's definitely going to be coming this way. So for right now, I could either hang up the Witch Elf or just kind of hang out in the area. I could even move one over so that we've got tackle zones across the whole area. So at least has to make some rolls to get through there. Here he could potentially come through here without a problem.
What was that, Jim?
What now?
The whole fantastic thing?
Oh, I'm just trying to introduce a
Yeah,
catch.
maybe for now we'll just do
My
that.
agent says it will help for future gigs.
Don't
So
do
we've
it
got
again.
his tackle zone,
I
his
hate
tackle
bad
zone,
puns.
sort of covering up this area. So that we just have to make some rolls or move some people around to get through there. I'm not super concerned about that at this point. I have 50% chance of fouling this guy if I go for the foul, which is not bad, but there's a chance you get booted off for the rest of the game if you do a foul. So for right now, I'm just going to kind of hang out here. Again, we're kind of keeping it so that there's tackle zones, tackle zones, tackle zones, all the way across. So at least has to make rolls to get through. He probably can make those rolls, but at least there's a chance. He's got to make a lot of die rolls to do stuff. So yeah, distraction. Actually pulling a few guys over. You might even blitz him.
Close. Smells like a fight is about to happen.
Oh, he's throwing a lot of people on him. That's surprising. He got up, which is kind of unusual. Sometimes people just stay on the ground there. He actually threw a block there. It's crazy. I don't even do straight up one-on-one blocks very often because it's so dangerous. But then again, I think die rolls are not quite the same for the player as they are for the AI. I did notice that in the first game, there was a huge difference, it seemed like, between playing medium and hard, but the only difference was that the die rolls were super against you and almost cheating feeling. In the first one, if you played on hard, medium felt pretty normal. So save things first, relatively anyway. Moving in positions where we can throw some blocks. Yeah, I mean, I've got these guys. I can just move up to the line, have support, keep advancing. So we'll try to kick this guy off the field, which we'll do. Even if it doesn't hurt him, I'm gonna roll going into the crowd and stomp on him. Even if he doesn't get hurt, he's out until the next time play stops. So he's sort of back in the reserves there. Now, if I beat the crap out of enough guys and knock him off, I can always run that direction, kind of throw him off. His movement is about the same as mine, so it doesn't make much difference. But some teams are much faster than others, so that can make a big difference. There are times when switching where you're going towards can have a huge impact. If one person's playing a fast team or a very agile team that can throw the ball, and the other one is not, switching from one side where he's sort of over-responded in that direction and then switching over can really cause problems. So like Skavens against Dwarves, Skavens are super fast, Dwarves are very slow. If all the Dwarves commit to one side, and then the Skavens switch, then they're kind of in a bad position. It's very hard to make that up. So that was an unusual case where, even though I only had one die, I do have a lot of skill advantages, so it's not a bad call to go that way and go ahead and throw the block. It wasn't the safest thing in the world, but I've got rerolls, so I've got a blitz here, so why not use it?
They're getting up close and personal, Bob.
You need to be close. So
And push him off to the edge.
the dead in. Hold it. Fans are rabid. So am I. Just one more step.
So he's really committed to this guy, so it's tempting just to move in this direction. There's only 2, 3 of the opponents there. I'm not super fast though, so it's not like I have a huge advantage moving in that direction. These guys can potentially get through. There's a gap here, so it's not the greatest idea in the world. I can move right up to here and have some cover and some assistance. I can just run straight back here. For now, anyway, we're just going to move up where I have some support on this side. I can still shift and do something a little different. And I'm going to do this, which makes it very difficult to get to the ball carrier. So really to get to him, he's got to go all the way around this way to try to get to him, or take this guy out. But you can only blitz once in a turn, so you only have one target you can hit without being adjacent to him at the start. So it makes it difficult. And I've got a good position here where I can potentially knock this guy out. Here I do have dodge, so why not try to get out?
By adversaries like that, I hope he knows what he's doing.
And I'll just kind of move in the general area, so he's around if I need assistance. He can't get hit. I mean, potentially I could have left him there just to absorb a hit, but they're not super tough. And I don't really want to lose those guys. You do want to pay attention to who's going to score, how it needs star player points. You know, these guys have gotten 1 upgrade already. This guy's got 2 already. So it would be better probably to have him score, get him closer to getting another skill. So let's see what kind of craziness he can do. He's going after him again. I mean, this is a mild threat, but not super threatening. That makes a bit more sense. That doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, hitting somebody, I guess, sure. Frenzy's dangerous, and this is why. This kind of situation. So you have to throw another block if you get a push, and if you're in a bad position when that happens, then I get to pick what happens. So again, I'm going to pause here just to kind of check on things, make sure everything's working all right. We're looking at a little bit of lag, it looks like. And one whole viewer, nothing in chat. That's fine. I'm surprised anybody's watching this, so thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. So that looks like it's working. This looks like it's working. Hopefully the sound's fine. Like I said, again, this is my very first stream ever, and I may upload this to YouTube as well, just why not? My YouTube is also DisturbingPuppet, but I don't have any videos on there yet. This is my first stream, and then will be my first video. So back to the game. Hopefully the audio is at the same time as the video, and I hope there's not a big weird issue with that, because when I'm looking at what's streaming, it's at least 10 or 15 seconds later, so I hope the audio and the video are in sync. It would kind of suck if it's not. So now I've got this block of guys to deal with. So with guard, it's very easy to just kind of move up, and now I have assists for everything. So just doing that has made it so that it's, I have 2 dice on this guy, or easy to just kick him off the field. I'll just pick the push because it doesn't matter. I'll stay put. The crowd beats him up and knocks him out. But again, he's out until play stops again. So again, it's a time when it may be a good idea to just kind of hang out and not actually score. Just beat up the team, pound on his guys, do as much damage as you can. So here, I'm going to move him over to get an assist there. Not sure what I'm going to do with my centaur on this side, but for right now, just throw some blocks. Oh, that's the strength guy. I got double skulls. Actually happens a lot. You wouldn't think it would, but it does come up pretty often. I haven't had it come up yet, but I've had games where it's come up 7 or 8 times. So I've used a reroll this turn, which means I can't use another. So it does mean you want to be a little more cautious from that point on. So for example, I may want to move him up just to at least have a guarantee to be able to do something with him. Because if things go bad, things will go bad.
Come on, guys, together.
And stunned. So I can put another guy up and get an assist here. It's possible he could try to run around. So I'll make that a little harder. At least I'll have somebody who'll have to deal with trying to do that. So I'll move him up for the assist.
They're getting up close and personal.
Which will give me 2 dice on him.
Need to be close. So close they can smell your breath.
Just a push, that's not good.
He won't leave him alone anytime soon.
So I've got a little bit of a front here, but there is kind of an opening. It is covered by a couple tackle zones. This guy is knocked out. He could potentially try to get around to my bulk here. We'll just kind of inch up here a little bit. I still have quite a few turns to try to score again. Should be relatively safe. Again, we'll just try to dodge out of here. Since I've got the dodge skill, why not? It's safer to try to do that than to take a hit. I'm just going to hang out again. I could move him over somewhere to potentially, if you had a certain team that could throw, catch, that kind of stuff. Having somebody out away from everyone else as a potential receiver is a good idea. Here, I'm just kind of hanging out. Potentially going to assist in a block or a foul. Maybe get the ball if I really needed to. It's good to have somebody, so you at least have a chance sometimes. You might end up in a position sometimes where, if I just left somebody further down the field, I'd at least have a chance at getting a point.
get an assist now. Listen.
So I'm sort of shadowing him. He's not actually moving adjacent to him.
I never could get the hang of this maneuver, Jim. Whenever I jumped up, parts of the stadium would collapse, killing many fans. Those were good days.
That's pretty surprising. Well, he's going to go down. Hopefully he doesn't get hurt. Okay, that's fine. So he's putting a lot of effort and time into going after the guys I have further down the field, which does distract from what I'm doing. I'm just kind of grinding, slowly beating my way down the field. If you're knocked down, it takes up 3 of your movement, which for dwarves is pretty much all of it. Doesn't leave you a lot to do anything else. So getting people up is always a good idea, but in a position where you might have to make a die roll to do anything, then you might want to wait till you do the important things first. You have to do everything with somebody before you move on to another person, so if I stand him up, I can't do other things and come back to him to try to have him dodge away. So I'll just kind of leave him on the ground for now. This character does not have Blitz. Block, I mean. I'm thinking of blitzing. That's kind of what's going on there. So I'll move around to get an assist. And I'm actually going to use my Dwarf to do the block. Because he's got tackle.
The attacker has an assist.
Use that.
They just got ooh. That's what the cool kids are saying.
With a block result, they go down in the same square. The other, they move, and you can follow it. So I'm kind of in a position here where I might foul, but I don't really. You could possibly. Yeah, you could foul. So we're moving in positions to kind of protect the side of the field. KO. The bull centaurs are kind of big and scary looking, but they don't have much in the way of skills to do more damage. They've got models have horns, but they don't have the horn skill. They don't start with much other than things that let them move further, sprint and sure feet. I've added block to them to actually make them more useful, which has definitely helped. But blitzers usually start with block, and they don't, so they have a speed advantage, but kind of missing some other things. So what I'm thinking is just creating a little cage here for my ball carrier to move up. Throw him in the middle of some guys here. We'll have assists. The witch elf is really the only real danger.
I want to see the opposing team have a go at the ball now.
If I'm gonna foul, I have to foul now. 72% chance. Why not? I like the animation for the hobgoblins when they foul. Looking around, looking around. Kick. KO. Okay, good. If you foul, there's I think a 1 in 6 chance that you get pulled off the field by the ref for the rest of the game. So That did not happen, which is nice. So now I'm in a really good position, very well defended. I outnumber. He's only got 3 or 5 guys left on the field at this point. That's not good for him. And again, I'm just going to dodge away from here. I might even move further, kind of closer to potential support.
Yeah, smells like a good old-fashioned fight.
It's a little risky, moving around like that. He's kind of attacking the edges of my line instead of going for the ball, which sort of makes sense. He can't do much else. Using a reroll. Nope. Okay. So this is the kind of position where you maybe don't want to score right away. You want to hang out. You want to beat up the opponents. You want to pound on them for a while, that kind of thing. Unfortunately, I don't have too many blockers already adjacent to people. So I'm just kind of setting up blocks at this point. Blitz this way, pushing him towards the side.
Safety in numbers.
Unity is strength.
Oh, I needed that, didn't I? It's kind of going fast. I'm not paying as much attention as I should. Where that 4 strength guy is at can be very dangerous. I'll leave him there. So here I could throw a block if I just get a push, and I could block with him. Kind of setting that up just in case.
That player is looking rather smug for remaining upright. Pride comes before
I do kind of need to get him off here so he's not next to the ball carrier. I've got enough strength that I've got 3 blocking dice now, though. So we'll knock him on his butt.
Loosen the cage. Let the pretty little dove, I mean the ball carrier, go.
I could even foul again there. This guy, the 4 strength guy, it's not a bad idea. Creating more of a cage here, just in case.
That's it. Force them back and then pow.
So I'm moving into position I'm closer, and also helps with the foul. So why not foul, I guess. 58% chance. Sure.
Player down and surrounded by the opposing team.
Ah, no injury and sent off, which is a turtle. So that was about worst case scenario. At least you'd hope, stun them if you're going to get sent off. Just a push.
That's it. Aim for the ball carrier. Take them down.
I thought I'd go down there. But he doesn't have enough guys to really take advantage of the situation as much to get guys in there. I've got a really good formation just kind of rolling down the field here, which is quite dangerous for him. Goes so slow, it's hard to keep up. So it is hard to see, but I've got this guy right here in the middle. So we got to deal with him. Okay.
It's like peeling an onion. Peel the layers before you get to the good stuff.
Actually, I'm going to go this way. Kind of push him out of the way.
Less defenders will fall around the ball. The easier it's going to be to move.
And I'm going to hang up this guy. Yeah, that would be a terrible decision. Kind of move around, looking for positioning for where I want to leave my ball carrier, and that'll be fairly safe. Just going to do this. I don't want to score yet. I want to beat up his team and not leave him any time to actually do anything once he gets the ball back. So him up a little bit.
Holding maneuver, if ever I saw one.
Hang these guys up a little bit. Kind of block here.
This player likes to be well assisted in a fight.
Good call. Intimidation is the key. It's one of my strengths when I was still playing.
So again, we've got a position I could foul. I could come up here for an assist on this guy. He doesn't have blocks, so it's not a bad idea. I'll do that. See what we can get.
Gathering around that lone player, like halflings round a sandwich.
That player is looking rather smart for
Keeps
remaining
him away
up.
from the ball carrier. Makes it a lot more difficult to get to the ball carrier. In some cases, you can eventually just sort of surround and then beat down the opposing team if you want to take the time to do it. The 4 strength guy there is going to be really my only potential problem. Not much speed. You can definitely get in.
The end zone is in sight.
That's too bad.
Good defensive block.
Where's the ball go? I do have a lot of guys right in the area, so we might be able to get the ball, but not for long. That's a lot of dodge rolls. And he makes it. Didn't get you. Does he have a reroll? Yeah, he's got a reroll. And he got it that time. So at least he did have to use a reroll to do that, but that's still pretty surprising, actually. He was able to get in there and do that. So get in and make things difficult. Again, he's got that dump off skill, which seems to cause problems whenever I go for a block on the person who has it. The timer keeps going, nothing happens, nothing happens.
Ball in danger. And carry it.
Only a push, that's not good. But I got other guys around I can throw blocks with, so it's not the end of the world or anything. Actually, I'm going to block from this direction because I've got guys here that can pick up the ball more easily.
Jim, they're going for the ball.
And actually, I'll stay there. See where the ball ends up. Okay, it's not too bad. Piecing these things apart can sometimes be difficult. So move him up to have another person on the ball. Away a little bit. So yeah, I mean, I could just grab the ball and run for the end zone. It's always a possibility. I can just kind of come back into my little area here that I've got all the coverage with and assists. Yeah, I've got 2 dice here. I only have 1 here. This guy's way more dangerous. I've got to reroll, so let's do that. Yeah, I've got black.
General Cool always said superior skills prevail.
And both of these guys have already gotten upgrades, so it doesn't matter too much which one I get the ball with.
Good catch, but oh, so near to the end zone.
And I'm just going to move him right up. Only got 1 more turn after this. Kind of nullifying this guy's assist. So now I can do 2 dice, 2 dice, 2 dice. I'm actually going to go against this guy. So we can do. Yep, as you can see, not much else going on the field. So really my next turn is my last turn, so priority becomes scoring, not so much beating people up. I do have a lot of beating I can do.
Absolutely have to stop him.
I was actually...
Whatever.
Oh, haha! Big Skull's attacker down. The Skull and Explosion is block, so neither he nor my person had block, so he could have taken both down there. It wouldn't have been a bad choice. Let's see if I can just knock these guys out of the way to just walk into the end zone from here. So in this case I'm pushing people. So I kind of shifted everybody over. Okay, let's just there in case I want it. Just gonna have him stand up. So I've got this here. And just a push. We both have block, so it doesn't really do much there. Yeah, sure, fine.
Nuffle must be holding him up.
Get this guy off the ball carrier.
Less pressure on the ball. It's a good move.
We've got the 4 strength. Oh no, 4 strength guy is somewhere else. Or he's unconscious. There he is. So we'll just knock these guys around. So, I mean, I could potentially throw some more blocks. That's fairly safe. That's safer. He doesn't have block. So that means I can knock him down. But no actual damage. And we'll just stroll on into the end zone. So really, I've only just left him 1 turn left in the game, so I'll kick the ball to him. He'll have 1 turn, he won't be able to do anything or score. He could potentially hurt somebody. Throw a few blocks, that's it. That'll be all for the game. So yeah, I'm out the injured guy and the guy who got pulled off by the ref. Because I lost some people, you can now see I've got some gaps. Things are a little strange looking.
One team is lighter player, not a significant difference, but it can impact the game. They've kicked the ball to the opponents. Now it's time to think defensively.
Yeah, be fine, I think. Do my usual kick. The only time I don't kick there is if he has somebody with like catch in that position. Okay. Some 2 people getting hit by rocks who were right next to each other before. But yeah, as far as kicking, if you have someone who has a kick skill, you have a pretty good chance of kind of dictating roughly where it's going to end up. It's pretty random though. If someone does have catch who's right there or has the kickoff return skill, then you might want to be a little bit more careful about where you're kicking it to, kicking it off to one side or the other away from somebody. But if there's nobody in the middle, it's pretty common that it'll go that way. Setting up for kickoff and kickoff returns are actually a really large part of the strategy I think a lot of people don't think about too much. I know the previous game only gave you like a minute or something for that, which I thought was not nearly enough. So, end of the game, we won. Another victory for the Raging Bulls.
Yeah, do your constant whatever somewhere else.
So here, we've got my winnings. You can do a reroll here based on what you got. I got a 1, so why not? I got a 2, yay, so it gave me a little bit extra money. My fan factor didn't change, but higher fan factor, the more money you could potentially make in games, kind of thing. Everybody gets some points for advancement from things that they do in a game, but then one random person also gets the MVP award, which gives you 5 star player points. And at different levels of the points, you go up different skill levels. So my Chaos Dwarf blocker got it. So quick look at the statistics overall. Ball possession way higher, occupation of own half, they had more, opponent's half, I had way more. I'm not a passing team, so I don't really do much of this ever. Blocks succeeded, KOs inflicted, injuries, kills, this is very unusual. 72 yards running, about average for me. Block sustained, KO sustained, casualty sustained, pretty normal. Star player points gives you an idea of what happened, so he had MVP and somebody from injury, I had MVP. 2 touchdowns, I guess, for the same guy. Injury, a couple injuries. You can even look at the spread of your dice rolls, things like that. Sometimes it's really not evenly distributed, I guess. If you feel like it's off, you can sometimes look at this afterwards and, oh, it definitely wasn't on.
For some Blood Bowl.
You can watch your replays again in the same games, which I never do, really. So go back. So nobody leveled up, it looks like. If someone levels up, it gives you kind of a little icon off to the side. I do have quite a bit of money. What I've been spending on lately is increasing my team rerolls. I started with only 1, which was not very much. The higher you, the more rerolls, cheerleaders, coach assistants, players, their upgrades, all that kind of stuff affects your team value. The higher the team value, the more money your opponent might get at the beginning of a game if there's much difference between the two. If you're lower than your opponent, you get money for some stuff. If they're lower, they get money for some stuff. So I've got a decent amount of money. I could buy another player. I could add a team reroll. I've got 4, which seems to be pretty good. Wouldn't be a bad idea to increase my players because I only really have 1 extra. So I may go ahead and do that. I haven't bought a Minotaur. They're not super useful. I've played Chaos teams and stuff. They're very tough, very strong, and beat up your opponents, but they sometimes don't do anything, which is a problem. So here you can see the limits on what I have. I can only have up to 2 Bull Centaurs. I've got 2. I can only have 6 Dwarf Blockers. I've got my 6. So all I can really add is Hobgoblins or Minotaur. I probably will go ahead and add another Hobgoblin just because. There is some customization as far as heads and what they look like and stuff.
Always wear underpants, because you never know who might be looking. Some of these cameras work both ways. Nice shirt, by the way.
So I kind of like that one. Name's fine. Why not buy another player? And confirm the purchase. So now my team rating is up to 1640. I still have a good amount of money, but the amount of money I have, up to 150,000, doesn't affect your team value. But now I've got an extra spare guy just in case I need it. You can look at each individual guy if you want. It kind of gives you information on what they've done, what their skills are. So if I wanted to look at this guy, for example, I just got touch at your hands, look at the statistics. He's got 1 MVT, played in 10 matches, 6 touchdowns scored, 1 casualty inflicted, 5 blocks succeeded, 2 KOs inflicted, 6 injuries inflicted, 1 kill inflicted, 120 yards running, 28 blocks sustained, 3 injuries sustained. If there was anything that would affect you negatively, the number here would be red and there would be an icon out here. So my next team is going to be Halflings. In the competition so far, I can look at the next matches in my league. I can look back at the previous day, kind of see who beat who, by how much, that kind of thing. Sometimes how the AI decides who wins seems a little strange. Leaderboard is an idea where I'm at. So because it's split up, even though I've won a bunch of previous games, it's considered like a separate section of the same competition. So instead of using 2 matches against each team to decide who goes in the finals, it's only using the second set of one game to kind of decide who makes it in the finals. So right now I'm tied in first place with the Halfling team, 3 wins, 0 draws, 0 losses, and you can see everyone else's kind of records there so far in this second section. But that's about it for the game for today. So let me pull everything up here and we'll kind of see what's going on. Make sure everything is still there. Okay. Yeah, that's going to be about it for today. So I think that'll be all for my stream. I'll probably be putting up other games. I would have liked to start from the beginning of a competition with a new team, and I may do that once I finish this competition. I have some other turn-based games I may play. Turn-based games for me seem to be better for me to stream. I do like turn-based games a lot. Different kind of strategy games, XCOM, that kind of thing. So at some point I may be doing more of those. I play a lot of other things like Warframe and things like that too, but I think people would think I'm not very good or complain about the way I'm playing. So I have played first-person shooters before and stuff, but yeah, I'm a little more comfortable with the turn-based strategy games, that kind of thing. Some other stuff, I've got things to try out and games I want to try. Games Workshop stuff I really like, so I've bought a lot of those kind of games. I've been doing through tutorials for Mordheim as well, so at some point I may go for that and put up something. I haven't started a campaign or anything yet. Okay, so I think that'll be about it for today. So thanks a lot for watching. Looks like I've got one person who was watching, so thank you very much. May put this up on YouTube as well. So again, thank you very much. I really appreciate you spending the time with me. So check back occasionally, and maybe I'll be playing something else. Thanks a lot.